Hey guys, first I want to say thank you for praying for my mom. I know you're praying and I appreciate that. This is actually April 14th, so she just broke her arm yesterday, but by the time you see this, it'll be a whole week later. It's also Mizzou Spirit Week, so Mizzou Day. Rah, rah, rah. Now, back to Ruth. So, Ruth and Naomi are living in Bethlehem. Bethlehem, why do we know that city? And this harvest season's over, and Naomi is going to do a little meddling. Let's see what happens. Naomi and Ruth, both widows, live quietly in Bethlehem. Naomi knew about the Lord's command to the people of Israel regarding the marriage of widows. When a young woman became a widow, the man who was the nearest relative of her dead husband should marry her and buy back the land. In this way, God provided that the land would always be kept in the same family. Naomi explained all these things carefully to Ruth. This nearest relative who was to marry the widow and buy her land was called a kinsman redeemer. So when he would buy back the land, he would buy it for that man. It would be for that man's family, not for his own family, but for the dead relative's family. So now the harvest season was over, and with it Ruth's hard work of gleaning was also over. The threshing season, which came right after the reaping, was a time of great celebration and thankfulness to God for his plentiful harvest. The men worked diligently to prepare the threshing floor, an open place in the fields where they could throw the grain into the air and let the wind carry away the hulls of the grain that were of no value. The men did the threshing in the evening when the wind was just right. Then they would have a big meal and lay down to sleep. They slept by the grain in order to guard it from thieves. Grab your Bibles if you haven't already and open to Ruth chapter 3. One day Ruth's mother-in-law, Naomi, said to her, "My daughter, I must find a home for you where you will be well provided for." Now, Boaz, here's a little meddling, sneaky plan. Boaz, with whose women you worked, he's a relative of ours. So, go take a bath. Go put on perfume. Get dressed in your best clothes. Then go to the threshing floor. But don't let him know you're there until he's finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, note the place where he is lying. Then go and uncover his feet and lie down. He'll tell you what to do. "I'll do whatever you say," Ruth answered. Whoa, she's pretty obedient. This was kind of sneaky and a little scary because women are not highly regarded in this time, and this would be a very bold thing for her to do. But she says, "I'll do whatever you say." So she took her bath, she put on perfume, she got all dressed up, she put her best things on, and she went down to the threshing floor and did everything her mother-in-law told her to do. Do we know how Boaz feels about her? We don't know anything about that. When Boaz finished eating and drinking and was in good spirits, he went over to lie down at the far end of the grain pile. Ruth approached quietly, uncovered his feet, and lay down. In the middle of the night, something startled the man. He turned, and there was a woman lying at his feet. In exclamation point. The Bible even uses an exclamation point. He was shocked. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am your servant Ruth," she said. This is the moment. This is the scary, scary moment. Will he reject her? Will he accept her? "I am your servant Ruth. Spread the corner of your garment over me, since you are a guardian redeemer of our family." Oh my goodness. Okay, so now here we get to hear, what will he say? What is he thinking? Here's what he's thinking. He's thinking, how am I so lucky? He's an older man. He's quite a bit older than she is. So he's looking at her and he's saying, she probably doesn't know our customs. And even if she did know our customs, she is young and good and beautiful and a good woman. She's so faithful. She could have anybody she wanted. I'm an old man. Why would she want me? While Ruth is thinking, who am I? I'm a Moabite. This is the enemy of these people. I am poor. I've got nothing. He is rich and godly and respected. Why would he want me? But they did both. Here's what he says, verse 10. "The Lord bless you, my daughter," he replied. "This kindness is greater than that which you showed earlier." So he takes it as kind. It's kindness to him that she wanted to marry him. Said, "You haven't run after younger men, whether rich or poor. You could have had anybody," he's what he's saying. "You could have had a young guy, a rich young guy, but you didn't. You came to me. And now, daughter, don't be afraid. I will do all that you ask. I mean, all the people of my town know that you are a woman of noble character." So what is he looking at? Is he looking at the outside or the inside? He's looking at her heart. He loves her for the right reasons. But, dun dun dun, there's still a problem. It says in verse 12, "Although it is true that I am a guardian, redeemer of our family, there's another who is more closely related than I." So, no. Oh, no. This other guy gets dibs. "Stay here for the night, and in the morning, if he wants to do his duty as your guardian redeemer, then good, let him redeem you. But if he's not willing, as surely as the Lord lives, I will do it. Lie here until morning." So she lay at his feet until morning, but got up before anyone could be recognized. And he said, "No one must know that a woman came to the threshing floor." He also said, "Bring me the shawl you're wearing and hold it out." And when she did so, he poured 6 measures of barley and placed the bundle on her. And then he went back to town. She goes home to Naomi, who's just dying to hear the news, So when Ruth came to her mother-in-law, Naomi asked, "How'd it go, my daughter?" And she told her everything Boaz had done for her and added, "He gave me these 6 measures of barley, saying, 'Don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed.'" Then Naomi said, "Oh, you just wait, my daughter, until you find out what happens, for the man will not rest until the matter is settled today." Okay, so meanwhile, chapter 4, back to Boaz. So a lot of these meetings happen at the town gates. That's where the important men kind of hang out. So that's where he goes. Meanwhile, chapter 4 verse 1, Boaz went up to the town gate, and he sat down there, just as the guardian redeemer he had mentioned came along. Boaz said, "Come over here, my friend, and sit down." So he went over and sat down. And oh, you know, Boaz is so nervous. He wants to marry Ruth. Boaz took 10 of the elders of the town and said, "Sit here." And they did so. So they're going to be witnesses of this. I want this to be all done right. And then he said to the guardian redeemer, "Naomi, who came back from Moab, is selling the piece of land that belonged to our relative Elimelech. I thought I should bring the matter to your attention and suggest that you buy it in the presence of these seated here and in the presence of the elders of my people. If you will redeem it, do so. But if you don't, tell me so I will know. For no one has the right to it except you, and I am next in line." So in this society, land equals wealth. It's a farming or ranching society. So the more land you've got, the more power, the more money you have. This guy says, "Oh yeah, I'll do it. I will redeem it," he said. Oh, so this is that moment. Oh no, oh, they're not going to get to be together. But wait. Then Boaz said, "All right, now on the day that you buy the land from Naomi, you also acquire Ruth, the Moabite, the dead man's widow, in order to maintain the name of the dead with his property." So this changes things, because if Ruth has a child with the new guy, her son will become the owner, but it'll be under her husband's name, Mahlon, the first guy, and it won't add into the riches of this guardian redeemer. So if he's being selfish, he's not going to want to do this. And in fact, that's exactly what he says. At this, the guardian redeemer said, "Oh, then I cannot redeem it, because I might endanger my own estate. You redeem it yourself. I can't do it." Which, of course, is the great news. Woohoo! It's what Boaz wants. He wants to redeem it. He wants to do this. Now, here comes the weirdest part of this story. These days, if you're doing something like this, you get lawyers and you write a contract and you sign the contract and it's all done legally. You know how they had to sign? They didn't do it that way back then. They didn't. This was before the printing press. There weren't a lot of things written. So Their sign was they took off their shoe and gave it to the other person. I'm not kidding. Can you imagine your stinky old shoe? Let's look, verse 7. Now, in earlier times in Israel, for the redemption and transfer of property to become final, one party took off his sandal and gave it to the other. This was the method of legalizing transactions in Israel. Woo-wee! I'm so glad we don't do it that way now. So the guardian redeemer said to Boaz, "Buy it yourself." And he removed his sandal. Then Boaz announced to the elders and all the people, "Today you are witnesses that I have bought from Naomi all the property of Elimelech, Kilion, and Mahlon. I have also acquired Ruth the Moabite, Mahlon's widow, as my wife, in order to maintain the name of the dead with his property, so that his name will not disappear among his family or from his hometown. Today you are witnesses." And then the elders and all the people at the gate said, "We are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your home like Rachel and Leah, who together built up the family of Israel. May you have standing in Ephrathah and be famous in Bethlehem. Through the offspring the Lord gives you by this, young woman, may your family be like that of Perez, who Tamar bore to Judah." So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. Yay! When he made love to her, the Lord enabled her to conceive, and she gave birth to a son. Here comes the biggest twist of the whole story. The women said to Naomi, "Praise be to the Lord, who this day has not left you without a guardian redeemer. May he become famous throughout Israel. He will renew your life and sustain you in your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you and who is better to you than 7 sons, has given him birth." Then Naomi took the child in her arms and cared for him. She gets a grandson. This woman who had no family now has family. The women living there said, "Naomi has a son." And they named him Obed. Yeah, like O-B-E-D, like Obed. Kind of weird. But here's the kicker. Obed was the father of Jesse, the father of David, King David. So Ruth becomes King David's, let's see, he's Jesse, is not his, wait, I'm so getting so confused. Obed, Jesse, David. So he was grandma. She was his grandma, David's grandma. And it says, "This then is the family line of Perez. Perez was the father of Hezron, Hezron the father of Ram, Ram the father of Aminadab, Aminadab the father of Salmon, Salmon the father of Boaz, Boaz the father of Obed, Obed the father of Jesse, and Jesse the father of David." And of course, David is the ancestor. Know who comes from his line? Jesus. That's why Bethlehem, this is why Jesus is born in Bethlehem. Remember, they had the census, and he had to go back to the town of David, and Bethlehem is where David was born because David is the ancestor of Obed and Ruth, the Moabite. So she not only becomes an Israelite, she becomes an ancestor. Jesus comes from her line. Isn't that wonderful? Now, kinsman redeemer. Jesus becomes our ultimate kinsman redeemer. He is the one who makes the way for everything to be brought back and brings us into the family. So this is a wonderful story, one of my most favorite of all. Hope you liked it too.